I don't know about you, but I cannot believe that it's 2026. The last couple months of last year felt like a blip. We literally were on summer vacation, like enjoying our road trip that we typically go on every year, bopping around to see family. And I still vividly remember the day we rented a boat and my whole family was out on the lake for an entire day with my parents. And we just had the best day. We had the best day. It was the first time I feel like Dave and I really felt like our kids were so much older, all of them collectively together. Our littlest was 5.5 at that time. He's now 6, 5.5 at that time. Out of diapers, out of all the baby stuff, out of all the car seats, all the strollers, all the extra things we had carried around for a decade as we were growing our family. And for whatever reason, this day in our summer trip just felt like this profound shift where everyone was swimming on their own, some with life jackets, some not. Everyone was taking care of themselves, feeding themselves lunch, choosing music that they wanted, just having fun all day long. We've been growing our family for over a decade. We're parents of 4. My oldest is 14, and then our second will be 12 at the end of January, and then 8 and 6 are our other two. And, we've been in the thick of growing our family and little kids and diapers and toddlers and working around nap times and tantrums and all the things on top of uncovering a genetic disorder and managing autism and epilepsy and seizures in the middle of the night. And there's just so much that has happened in our family as we've built our family and had our children over the past decade plus. And so to have this day over the summer that felt like, whoa, this is really different. Everyone feels really big and old was really profound for Dave and I. And I'm talking about this because that was already 6+ months ago, but it feels like yesterday. And that's really how time has felt for me over the past handful of months. But really, when I unpack it, it's been the past handful of years. So much of my wellness story of this profound shift in my health started after 2020. Started right after I had our 4th baby in 2019. And then COVID hit in 2020 and everything in my wellness unraveled. And when I really think about the last 5 years, it's been fast. A lot of the times I felt like it was slow, but it's been fast. And things have drastically changed. And where my family is now, where my kids are now, where my business is now, where I'm at health-wise now, my relationships, my marriage, like everything is shifted. Everything is different. And that's really what I want to talk about as we kick off a new year. Because I know when the new year comes around, we think about, okay, it's a new year. What am I going to focus on? What are my goals? How am I going to grow? What am I going to learn? What am I going to do to change? All of those things. And then what happens? Life. Life is what happens. And then we don't necessarily get into all of the things we dream about or write down on our lists as far as how we want to grow and how we want to change. And I know that can be defeating. When I think back to all of the New Year's resolutions I've typically made, all of the things I've hoped to focus on or wanted to grow from or grow into or evolve into or whatever, almost always where I end up at the end of the year is nowhere where I thought I would at the beginning of the year. When I was setting the resolutions, when I was thinking about the plan, when I was thinking about how I wanted things to change or what I wanted to do differently, things are almost never what I thought they would be when I set them at the beginning of the year, when I get to the end of the year. But here's what I've learned. Just because they're not how I thought I wanted them to be or needed them to be or dreamed up they would be, doesn't mean that it's a failure. It doesn't mean that I didn't learn anything, that's for sure. And it doesn't mean that I didn't grow or evolve. If anything, I grew or evolved even more than I thought I would. And I think that's the message I want to share most today, right? When you're thinking about this year, you're thinking about it's a new, fresh opportunity for growth, for change, and for doing things differently. I want you to think about this. Think about where you are right now. Maybe in your work, your marriage, your relationships, with your kids, in your job, in your business, in a dream or a passion project that you want to start or work on. I want you to think about where you really are with all of those things. And then I want you to think about, what do you want to change? What do you want to be a little bit different this year? How do you want to evolve? How do you want to end 2026 in a different capacity? And then I want you to say to yourself, what actually feels more expensive when I'm projecting ahead for this year? Is it staying the same in one of the categories we just talked about? Or is it proactively investing in making a change and having things be different? The reason I'm bringing this up is because as a functional women's health coach, I have this conversation often. It's this idea of, I want these things. I know I need them. I feel stuck. I'm ready to change. I want things to be different. But then, like I talked about, life happens. Life somehow, quote unquote, gets in the way. Sometimes it's financials. Sometimes it's time. Sometimes it's obligations and responsibilities and family and kids and all the things. Inevitably, no matter what, all of those things will come up day in and day out. So the real question you have to ask yourself when you're evaluating all of these different pieces of your life is, what actually feels more expensive to you? Is it staying the same, or is it proactively investing in change? Both are going to take time. Both are going to take energy. Both are actually also going to take money and finances. So you have to kind of decide, do you want it to be with more of a strategy, more of a focus, more of a plan? Or do you want it to be more reactive? Do you want it to be more by requirements? Do you want it to be more by how life dictates around you? Because there's two different paths we can take. This is something that I've been reflecting on big time as we kick off a new year. And as I reflect back to that day in the summer that I shared and how fast time has gone and continues to go, I'm realizing with every passing year just how fleeting everything is. So sure, we can spend time and hours wasted on hemming and hawing and evaluating and worrying and overanalyzing and talking about all the things that could go wrong or what we're going to miss or whatever it is we want to say in our heads, right? Or we could think of, what are the ways that we can proactively invest in creating change and doing things differently? So for me, that looks like a couple things this year. The first is, I do plan to continue to proactively invest in my business and in my personal growth as a coach. I have learned over the past 2 years that making those bigger and scarier investments have been some of the biggest shifts for me personally. And, I've had other business owners and other entrepreneurs, other health coaches ask me, if I want to start to do something like you're doing, or if I want to make an impact in the health space, or if I want to build my business or build my passion, what do I really need to do? And this is the advice that I've given. Really invest in people that can mentor you. Do something really outside of your comfort zone and that feels very scary, and you will be shocked by how much you grow. So that's a big one for me. The second one is continuing to make sure that I stay focused on my healing journey. And, over the past 5+ years, I've been on a really wild ride when it comes to health, right? I've taken 2 steps forward, 10 steps back. I've done all kinds of different deeper dive testing. I've done a lot of evaluating of my lifestyle. I've had to really relearn and unlearn nutritional strategies and movement strategies that weren't serving me anymore, right? I've had to learn about the idea of functional nutrition and how do I use food as a healing specific practice? How do I get really personalized and bio-individual with my health plan? How do I start to learn my unique deficiencies and imbalances? That's all come from mentors that I've worked with, coaches that have guided me, and above all, understanding the power of bio-individual health. And that is something that I want to continue to grow into even more and focus on even more. And that's going to take time, energy, investment, finances, all the things I probably won't be ready for, things I'm probably going to be scared by. Between business and my own personal healing journey, it's going to need to be this continued proactive investment mentality. And then the last is doing the best that I can to make sure that I'm finding and making the time to really compartmentalize the buckets of where I'm spending my energy, right? So on my clients, with my kids, with my marriage, for myself, with my friends, all of these different components of energy. I've had to learn the hard way how tricky it can be sometimes to pour different places when it comes to time, energy, effort, etc. It can become so messy. It can become way overanalyzed on one bucket. I've had seasons where I've had to focus really hard on business, or I've had to focus really hard on kids, and I haven't focused as much on friends or marriage. And so I'm trying to really think about what are the things that I can proactively invest in for these different buckets of my energy and my time to make sure that I'm really nurturing everything the way that it deserves to be, but at the same time doing so in a way that doesn't put my own wellness at the expense of it all. And that's another thing that I want to make sure I'm sharing with you when you think about this idea of what is more expensive, staying the same or investing proactively in change. Whatever it is, make sure that you're showing up and doing what you need to and pouring into places that actually deserve your energy, time, effort, etc. And again, doing so in a way that doesn't put your own wellness at the expense of it all. There was a time in my coaching journey where I burned myself to the ground. And I've talked about this on the podcast before. I've blogged about it. I've shared about it on my socials. But there was a time where I burned myself to the ground. I did not have boundaries. I did not do enough to really protect my own wellness. And I was serving all the people at the expense of my own health. And I think for women especially, we do this more than we even realize. And so to wrap up, this is the most profound thing I want you to keep thinking about as we kick off 2026. What is more expensive to you? Is it staying the same? Or is it finally choosing to proactively invest in change? I know that's uncomfortable. I know that's not easy. But I know that you deserve to be able to step into the place that you desire to go or that you feel like you're called to go. And that's going to take getting uncomfortable in some capacity. So the choice is yours. What are you going to do as you kick off 2026? Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I know balancing time and energy can be a challenge, and I'm so proud of you for listening in and investing in your wellness journey. I feel incredibly grateful to connect with you and for the opportunity to share more knowledge, stories, and encouragement related to all things wellness. I would love to hear how this podcast has served you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review on either iTunes or Spotify. Your support truly means the world to me and helps me reach more women just like you and me who are looking to transform their health from the inside out. Plus, when you share this episode with a friend, we invite more women in to learn alongside us. What a gift. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more we know, the better we can do. For ourselves, for our families, and our future. Well done on taking the step towards a healthier, happier you. Until next week, stay empowered and stay well.